So, can you share some of your story with us and how you became a career coach and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I mean, it's really been since I was a little kid, always curious about human behavior. I loved learning about relationships and just why people do what they do. So I think that natural inner child curiosity has carried over. And when I learned about psychology, I was just like, yes, this is 100% the career path I want to go in. And I got my bachelor's. I also worked at an eating disorder hospital for 5.5 years. So learning about different disorders and all of that stuff. And eventually I decided to get my master's in counseling. Therapy seemed to make sense for where I was in my life, really understanding more about the human psyche, giving that just supporting those folks. I felt really called to that. And then also working with populations such as substance abuse, trauma, it really runs the gamut of the type of populations I've worked with. Over the years, though, in that field, I felt really like part of me, one on one with with clients, it was so rewarding, but I would come home very exhausted. It was as if I couldn't mentally separate the two of this is my work life and this is my home life. It just bled into every single little thing. And I care so damn much that it wasn't, I couldn't turn it off like a light switch. After kind of just searching, what else can I do? Can I still be in this field? I transitioned into coaching. And so I learned more about the differences between coaching and counseling. And I went to a coaching institution, got my hours. And I really liked the slightest difference because it focuses more on where you are right now and where you want to go versus diving into the depths of your past, which is totally fine, but I'm just not at that place in my life right now. So with that transition from counseling to now coaching, I made that leap and it was really scary, but I also want to help empower those to make a career transition leap as well, whether that's very similar or completely drastic.
So, what are you grateful for now in your journey?
I love that question. I'm super grateful for, I think, first and foremost, my friends and family that have supported me throughout my career transition and starting my own business. I think that was never really in the cards for me. I never really was like, oh, I have to own my own business. It kind of just happened. And through that time, I learned who are my true friends, who are the true people that, support me running this business. And so I'm just very grateful for those that have stuck around. And I'm also grateful for all of the trainings, education, experience, people I've met along the way. I'm very grateful for all of those things too.
So, what's your intention in building your coaching business?
Yeah. So I think my intention would be the number one is if I could do it, you could do it. I think being an entrepreneur has so many ups and downs. It's extremely rewarding, but also like the burnout is real. This whole path of building your own business, I've learned so much about myself that I think at some point I really would love every single human being on this planet to own their own business at least for 1 year. It's kind of like I think everyone should at least be a server once in their life. It's kind of that same like you learn so much about yourself and others. So really my intention is kind of inspiring others and my mission really is to just help people understand that their own self-worth and their skills and strengths can be served for so many people. So just like remembering that you are a badass, I just want to be like that cheerleader for them and just cheering them on.
Why is investigating our core values important?
Yeah, I work a lot with the term values and I really define that is like how we want to be, what we stand for, kind of more our principles and how we really want to relate in this world. And so if you have these founding principles of your values, whether that's family, trust, integrity, education, love, whatever it is for you, it's going to be different on the individual. When you know what that is your staple for the rest of your life. So if you investigate a little bit more, the secrets are going to unfold. and you're going to be making decisions based on those values. So it's super important with career fulfillment, because if we don't know what our values are, how are we going to feel fulfilled, because we're not in alignment with that?
That makes a lot of sense. You talk a lot about self-talk and how that affects your career and success. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Sure. So I define really just self talk as simple as, what is your inner dialogue? What are the things that you tell yourself on a day to day basis? I don't remember the stat, but I believe we have like 80,000 thoughts a day, something crazy like that. So just even being more aware of your thoughts, like what am I telling myself, can play a huge factor in your reality. If you go 24 hours just having the thought of, I'm empowered, I'm strong, I'm supported, I'm loved, and you kind of just repeat that for 24 hours straight, can you imagine the life that you'll be living if you truly just said that until you believed it's true? And same with the opposite. If you have the self talk that is insecure or anxiety provoking, it just really depends. Yeah, it just really depends on how you want to how you want to go about that. So I think self-talk is super important with, not only can I be aware of what's going on, but how does this actually follow out in day-to-day life?
So, do you find a lot of clients that come to you that are dealing with confidence issues and just really trying, believing that they can actually go after the career that they want?
Yes, I think the number one thing that come with me is I'm overwhelmed or burnt out or stressed in my job. So that's kind of the symptom. But I think the reason, when I ask, what is the gap between the life you're living right now and that amazing job or that amazing lifestyle you want, what is that gap? And they would say either lack of confidence, not really having a plan or direction. So I think, again, I don't know how often we really remind ourselves of how awesome we are. And especially if it's something completely drastic from what they want to do, they can easily come up with all of these excuses why it's not a good idea to pursue.
Well, in what ways can people improve their self-talk if they're dealing with not feeling confident?
So I would first say the first step is, can you take out a piece of paper and literally write out what are the top 5 thoughts or self talk dialogues you have? Like, get that actually on paper, get it away from your mind. And then once you have that on paper, maybe there's a theme. Can you notice any patterns? Is there a lot of won'ts, can'ts, have not? I don't know. Can you notice that language and maybe like study it a little bit? And if someone else were to say these thoughts, how would you respond to them? So, kind of doing your own little reverse psychology. But first, I would say the first step is awareness. What are those self talk language getting in your way? And then, how do you want to talk about yourself? What do you want to say? If you have a constant term or statement in your head, what do you want it to sound like instead? But yeah, I think you have to first have that awareness and identify it first before getting what you want.
How have you helped individuals with their career searches and the resumes, all that? Can you share some of your client success stories?
Sure. So I have helped a wide range of, I guess, career problems, if you will. In the past, I did a lot of resume revamping. I have, LinkedIn background, like strategies. So helping them with that more like surface level will help, right? I can help you make sure that your resume stands out based on your strengths and really telling a story. And then also there's that other piece, which is the mindset. So I guess an example of a success story, there's this one where I helped 2 women. They were childhood best friends and they just recently reunited. And they came to me saying, Paige, like, since we were kids, we've had this dream of starting our own business. And, we watch you on social media, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, how did you do it? And I coached them through just the very baby steps of what they should consider. Now, I'm not a business coach. So, but I was helping them more on their belief system and making sure that they're a strong partnership, really helping them get through just what is the next steps, helping them get organized was one of my strengths, is just really helping you make just a very clear, smart, goal driven plan. The last time I talked to them, they set dates for their launch. Like they're going to do what's it called? It's not a GoFundMe, but just one of those, things that they launch about their business. So that's really exciting that they are actually like starting to make it come true from paper to real life. And also just how I mentioned with mindset, I think I've heard, just positive reviews of like, thank you, Paige, for just changing my perception of myself and making me believe in myself again. Because like I said earlier, I think we just don't give ourselves enough credit.
Yeah, that's so true. How many times do you look at your resume and go, "Oh, wow, I've done a lot."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to really step back, and it's not just like what are the tasks I did or what were the duties assigned. It's how did I go above and beyond? Not just anyone could have done these things. Like, what did I do to make this extra special? And to literally, just like what you said, can I just take a moment and be like, damn, I'm awesome? And like truly mean that.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So I do want to ask you another question. If there's somebody out there that's struggling right now, maybe they, were in a specific career and they've transitioned during the pandemic, what piece of advice would you give them? Should they focus on, let's say they're out there applying for a ton of jobs? What's one or two tips that you give them?
One thing I would say is having a concrete plan before you're just like randomly going on Google and like seeing what comes up. So, one of the things I work on with my clients is their non negotiables through their job search. So, that could be anything from intangible to tangible, right? Like, sure, what's the salary, the title, all of those things? Am I commuting? Sure, you can answer all of those for yourself, but also let's go back to your values. What are the things that you are not ready to compromise? And kind of having more a checklist before you hop on, Indeed or LinkedIn and you start going crazy. Because once we get on those platforms, a wealth of information is just going to flood us. So, how can I have this checklist of I want to make sure I'm in a company that I feel valued, whatever it is that's kind of on your list? Can you go with that first and then start searching? And another tip I would give is always, if you can, try to do informational interviews. If there's someone that has worked for that company, or even cold messaging very politely, like on LinkedIn, like, hey, I noticed you work for this company. I'm super curious. Can I ask you a few questions to learn more about your experience? Like, get it from the horse's mouth. That's a huge tip I have if you are in that kind of job hunt. And lastly, like my last thing to say with a tip is, for me, what really helped me is knowing that your career is not linear. For 10 plus years, I had the one track mind that I was going to be a therapist for the rest of my life. And when that was interrupted, and COVID especially made everyone be more curious of why am I here? What's going on? Like, what am I doing? Just know it's not linear. Every single thing that you do, every job opportunity or life transition, that is setting you up for the next step. So it's okay if you don't have all your ducks in a row, like the information is coming and you're supported.
I love that. Definitely love that. So, what's your truth that's gotten you this far in your journey?
So my number one value is authenticity. I think my truth is that knowing, no matter like who I help, or when I'm having imposter syndrome, when I'm feeling like what the hell am I doing? I trust myself enough that whatever decision I make, it is what it is, to be honest. Like, my truth is knowing like I'm just so strong in my own self. Like, I don't want to continue living a life that is fake, or I'm trying to please other people. And definitely in the past, I've done that. I'm kind of just like at this point where no matter what, like I have to do this for me because I'm the only one that can truly look out for me. So I don't know if that answers your question, but just that authenticity piece of I know who I am, and I'm also still open to learn and grow because I'm going to continue learning more about myself. My truth is just really like being firm and who is Paige, and just keep going.
So if you were able to give yourself one piece of advice when you first started out, what would it be?
Stop being so hard on yourself. I definitely have patterns of people pleasing and perfectionism. I call myself a recovering perfectionist because it definitely comes in, and it's good when you run a business. Sometimes like it can be really helpful, but other times it's harmful. So I think the expectations I hold for myself compared to other people is is kind of off the wall. So I would definitely tell my younger self it's okay that things are messy. It's okay that it's not perfect because if it was, it'd be boring and you wouldn't be relatable. So I think just say, like, if you're hard on yourself, like, what is that really serving you? Why would you do that? Like, can you, instead of being a bully, can you like be a cheerleader or can you be some type of other character, if you will, instead of like constantly beating the bat?
Yeah, that's so good. I've dealt with a little bit of perfectionism myself, and it's true. I think your weaknesses are really your strengths, and so many
Hmm.
people don't realize that. That that's how people connect with you, is that in the imperfect side.
Yes.
So if people are listening and they are wanting to work with you, what's the best way to contact you?
Sure. So the best way is to go to my website, www.paigemitchell.coach. I'm also on several different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and they all have the paigemitchell.coach handle. So I'm very easy to find.
So I also have all those links down below. I want to mention
Perfect.
also some of your programs, the Career Fulfillment Program,
Hmm.
which is an 8-week signature one-on-one coaching program. You have a handbook on burnout, the top 5 signs of burnout and ways to recover. And you can get that as well. Burnout handbook, pagemitchell.coach, and I'll put that down below. And then you've also got some other links I will put down below, as well as your mailing list. Paige, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your business and your passion and your journey with us.
Thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you're listening, you want more information about A Call to Thrive, you can go to acalltothrive.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful week.